Have you ever once felt this sense of existential dread? Maybe it was while you're showering or while you're eating, then suddenly your inner Socrates comes out like you just went through post-nut clarity. Whatever or whenever it is, those moments of introspection can leave us wondering, with thoughts that sometimes stay with us through time. That's why I'm a sucker for deep and meaningful stories. They may be few and far between, but those are the ones that are sure to leave a lasting impression in your life. And this manga that I'm gonna talk about may be one such story. This is 3 Days of Happiness, a manga that revolves around this one question. How much is a person's life worth? Kusunoki, who at that time was a bright, prideful boy, had a lot on his mind when their middle school teacher asked this question. While his classmates bantered around, he thought to himself, "I'm better than these people. Surely I'd be worth millions, billions even." Little did he know that 10 years later he would get the answer to that question himself. You see, Kusunoki has a condition called being a college student. The money he gets from his part-time job at least gets him something to eat, but that isn't enough. In the end, he resorted to selling most of his book and CD collections. This mundane routine kept going on until a clerk at that bookstore asked him a question. "Do you want to sell your lifespan?" It sounded absurd, ridiculous even, but Kusunoki heard him out, and suddenly he found himself in a room, waiting for the remaining 30 years of his life he had sold to be evaluated. Then the numbers came. 300,000 yen. Yes. All remaining 30 years of his life amounted to an equivalent of 3 PS5 units. Let's go, baby! Witnessing this epic sellout of all time was Miyagi, a staff at the mysterious shop that was tasked to be Kusunoki's observer for his remaining days. Whatever he does or wherever he goes, Miyagi will always be there. Now that he has only 3 months left to live, Kusunoki, along with his observer, set on the journey to rediscover his tracks and find himself, an objective that he wasn't able to do in his 20 years of living. I called this manga 3 Days of Happiness, but that's actually the title of the light novel it's based on. The actual manga is called this mouthful of a name, and when I saw that title, I suddenly thought, yeah, I'm feeling really good today. Why don't I ruin the mood with some existential manga and maybe cry to bed before I sleep? Well, I'm glad I ruined my mood that day, because to put it simply, this manga changed me and the way I think about life. Young Kusunoki was smart and talented, being the top student in their class. He thought highly of himself, going so far as to consider himself above his peers. But above all else, he was naive. He thought he had a bright future ahead of him and had everything already laid out for him, expecting to have an easy way in life. Time passed by, and so did the people around Kusunoki. They all grew up and went their separate ways, but it seemed like Kusunoki did not. Promises were left hanging, his talent for art slowly declining, expectations were left unmet, and the bright future he yearned for started dimming. What he once had as a kid eventually started to disappear, and now the once prideful Kusunoki, who hoped to live a happy, fulfilling life, has now become a husk of his former self, who has since been living just for the sake of living. Let's go back to our main question. How much is a person's life worth? What makes one's life valuable? It could be your past experiences, your happiest and proudest moments. It could also be the contributions you've made to society. Maybe you've accomplished some of your goals too. If you have lived a fulfilling life, then your potential for an even more fulfilling future is high and will be highly valued should you wish to sell it. Kusunoki had a life that is far from fulfilling. One that for the 20 years that he has been living barely had any memorable moments, any contribution to society, and has not realized any of his dreams. It's lucky that he got 300k or anything to begin with, and Kusunoki knows that it wasn't anyone's fault that his life value is so low. It was his actions, or lack thereof, that made him who he is now. For someone like Kusunoki that has had an unfulfilled life, the future doesn't hold anything anymore. If his life has been nothing but failures and disappointment, what else could be in store for his future? What could someone with no prospects, money, or aspirations do to change the course of their life? Despite all this talk about Kusunoki's past experiences and the state that he is now, this manga is anything but sad. The fact that he now only has 3 months left to live was the catalyst that made him want to rediscover his tracks and find what he once lost. And it's in this point in his life where he meets another kindred soul in the form of Miyagi. She was apathetic at first and didn't seem to care about Kusunoki at all, but as Miyagi started to learn more about Kusunoki and the reasons as to why he sold his life, she started to warm up to him. Miyagi learned that she had a lot in common with Kusunoki, and eventually the two started to form a bond amidst the emptiness of life. What was supposed to be a client-observer relationship turned into a close bond between two hopelessly lost people. It's ironic that by selling his remaining lifespan, Kusunoki was finally able to enjoy life and the things around him. Those last 3 months of his life, journeying around the places they've been, the people they've met, were some of the happiest and most fulfilled he had felt since. It may have cost him his future, his life, but that didn't matter to him anymore. What mattered is that he feels fulfilled now, and that he isn't alone anymore. 3 Days of Happiness is a story that I think more people should read. It's a manga that, in a span of only 16 chapters, has managed to leave a lasting impact on my life, something that other manga couldn't even do in the same amount of chapters. And honestly, to say that this manga hit me hard is an understatement. I wasn't expecting to cry ugly tears from it, and I wasn't expecting to have a deep existential crisis after reading either. But after that last page, there I was, staring at the ceiling with teary eyes, contemplating on my own life. Living without a purpose is like walking with no destination. Like going inside a big shopping mall, there are times where you just don't know where to go or what to do. In the end, you just walk around with no idea where to stop. Life can be that sometimes. If there really was a shop that buys lifespan, I would have sold mine long ago. I wouldn't care how much I get. After all, what's the point of walking if I don't know where to go? But I am not Kusunoki, because deep down, I'm still hopeful that tomorrow or in the near future, I'll be able to find where I really want to go. So, in the meantime, I'll keep on walking. And so too should you. Because you may think that life may be going in the wrong direction, or going back to that question, that your life that you lived isn't gonna amount to any monetary value. But the truth is that the one who has the power to change that value is yourself. No matter how low you may think your life value is, you have the power to change that. It's never too late to try and increase that value, and that's all the more reason to keep walking in this journey called life. 3 Days of Happiness is a manga that made me realize this fact, and I hope it can do the same to you as well.